What's up, everybody? Welcome to the AEW Dynamite Recap and Review. I am your hostess, as always, Divine Intervention, joined with All Elite Joker for another rousing review of this week's Dynamite. Joker, say hi to the fine people.
Hello to the fine people.
Before we get started, shout out to Bad Guy Jack, your new reigning UPR champ. Yes, round of applause for him. It's not EC, so couldn't be more happy, more thrilled. I know there are some of you that are devastated at my loss of championship, but don't you worry. Be back in the running soon enough. All right, let's get started. Starting things off strong with the tag team battle royal. 10 teams in this particular matchup. No, entrances or anything. Everybody was already down on the floor when this thing started up. We had 2.0, Dark Order represented by Reynolds and Silver, Private Party, the Ass Boys, aka the Gun Club, Best Friends, Young Bucks, Butcher and the Blade, P&P, Proud and Powerful, FTR, and Red Dragon. AHFO with 2 representatives in this match and 0 wins. Big shocker there, I'm sure.
Might die of surprised.
There's a lot to cover in this match. This obviously took quite a long time because not every team was eliminated all at once. But a couple of key spots here. Nick Jackson was eliminated by FTR in an effort to save Kyle O'Reilly. Obviously, kind of playing on this whole storyline they've got going on between them and the Young Bucks. The final 5, kind of halfway point in the match, we had Proud and Powerful, Best Friends, Red Dragon, FTR, and the Young Bucks. Trent had one of, every time there's some sort of battle royal, somebody always has an interesting spot where, did they go out? Or Orange Cassidy came in, saved the day for Trent with a shoulder ride to keep him off the floor and keep him in the match. Best Friends and then Proud and Powerful were outed by the Young Bucks and Red Dragon. Final 4 going in towards the end, Matt Jackson, Johnny Hungy, Dax Harwood, and Kyle O'Reilly. And I mean, finisher here, Bobby Fish takes out Dax Harwood. Silver's looking really great. Matt Jackson goes to eliminate John Silver, who turns around and gets immediately eliminated by Kyle O'Reilly, sealing the deal for Red Dragon and taking them on to Revolution as one of the 2 contenders for the TNT or tag team championships. Joker, a lot to cover here. Your thoughts on Red Dragon coming away with the win on this one?
Well, the narrative we're expecting to go here, of course, is Red Dragon wins this one. Well, either Red Dragon or Young Bucks was going to win this one, and then vice versa next week.
Mm-hmm.
The fun bit that you get with Red Dragon winning is now you have the opportunity for them to screw over the Young Bucks next week to make sure that they don't wind up in that match, because let's face it, the Young Bucks are one of the greatest tag teams in the world, if not the greatest tag team in the world. And I mean, what better way to have, assured victory than to make sure that the Bucks aren't there. Also, they haven't been getting along lately anyway,
Right.
which we saw when Nick comes flying down the ramp immediately thereafter, ready to pick a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And match went probably as battle royals are always a little bit messy. I guess Orange Cassidy just lives under the ring because that's where we always seem to see him pop up from.
Him and Danhausen.
Yeah, they have a little portal under the ring, I guess.
Secret base.
Hello, Elvis. Good evening. Good to see you. Yeah, man. Interesting direction we're going to go in, especially after what happened after the match.
For sure. After the match, we have a standoff. Red Dragon clearly feeling like they did nothing wrong, which in the confines of the match, they didn't. Somebody had to come away with the win. And, when it comes down to those two teams, Kyle O'Reilly just made the first move. But to everybody's, I will say I was a little surprised. But then when I realized how everything tied together, it made sense. Hangman Page comes out for I won't even say save because they weren't fighting yet. They were just in each other's face. But Hangman comes out and pretty much just kicks Red Dragon's ass. He's very upset about being jumped last week by them and Adam Cole. Definitely trying to get a measure of revenge. When he turns around to the Young Bucks, they want no part of it. They, pretty much just bail and they start heading up the ramp to do their own thing. And Cole comes out and Young Bucks weren't going to save Adam Cole. It looked like Red Dragon were the ones who ended up kind of sweeping his legs and saving him from that buckshot lariat attempt. And Silver, I mean, obviously the Dark Order represented by John Silver, one of the last men standing for the most part, able to kind of come in and help his homie with a couple of spots. But overall, Adam's looking pretty strong. He tells a quick little story time with Adam Page, baby.
That was cute.
And pretty much the gist of it is that the better Adam is going to win out at Revolution. Which Adam do you think walks away? We're getting to the point now where I think there's only a couple more broadcasts between now and Revolution. Is this where one more Dynamite and two more Rampages?
Yeah.
But yeah, which Adam reigns supreme in your eyes?
Oh, I mean, for me, I still want Adam Page versus MJF. I want MJF to be the one to take the title off of, to perfectly shut the door on Hangman's feel-good run. I feel like Max should be the one to take it off of him, and Max looks like he's going to be the next one, and I don't see them putting it on Cole just to take it right back off of him.
I agree.
Could they? I trust the process at this point.
Mm-hmm.
They could shock us all and put it on Cole, and I mean, it wouldn't be a bad thing. Adam Cole's a huge star, but I feel like it would take the wind out of Page's sails, especially after the whole, who's the better Adam thing that's been going on for the entirety of their careers.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's Adam Page. Plus, I just like Adam Page. I thought the whole in the story time bit was fun. I love the fact that they're obviously making fun of the fact that both of their names are Adam. And it's been very good. Very good.
All right. Moving on from the...
Mr. Butler, good evening. Glad to have you here.
What up? Moving on from the Battle Royal, obviously, with our first candidate for Tag Team Gold secured, we've got a brief promo segment backstage with Tony Schiavone and Bryan Danielson. Essentially, Bryan kind of making the comparison. He's clearly moved on from his match last week with Lee Moriarty and zeroing in on Daniel Garcia. He makes the comparison that obviously he had William Regal as a mentor versus Garcia, who has 2.0. No comparison there, obviously. And kind of zeroes in on Mox and basically, in response to his message last week that, he'll do more than bleed with Mox. He definitely wants to get in the ring, but we'll touch on those two a little bit later on. Bryan Danielson's making good on everything. He's moving through all the people that he's called out. I don't think he's had an official match yet. Wheeler Yuta would be next. Wouldn't that be the next?
Yep.
Do you think he's proving his point by beating the absolute crap out of them? Does that win favors and win you over to the other side?
Okay, he is beating the crap out of them, right? But he is also putting on master classes of what a professional wrestling match looks like. And seeing what he did with Moriarty, that was obviously Moriarty's best match that he's had. And I'll definitely sit here and say that was the best match that Daniel Garcia just had tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I mean, Garcia has had some very high profile matches since the beginning of this thing. He had the match with Punk. He had the match with Moxley. He's had a match with who else has he had? I think he had a fight with Sting and Darby.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's had very high profile matches and he's been great in like pretty much all of them. But this match right here with the technical wizard that is Bryan Danielson, absolutely immaculate. That was the best match I've seen out of Garcia yet. And I will stand by that. I think he's doing way more than proving his point. He's willing this into existence. If this wasn't already actually going to happen, he's showing you why it needs to. Right. And giving you a beautiful view into the future of the company and the future of the business. And I am just elated to see what happens, once the Danielson Moxley dojo, whatever we call it, Danielson Dominion.
I've seen a lot of really good names going around. I think the internet's kind of zeroed in on Danielson Dojo, but we'll see what happens when they decide to ultimately get this whole thing going. Obviously, got to get to the match at Revolution first, and we will kind of touch on some of this kind of stuff a little bit later on in the show. Obviously, Garcia and Danielson was our main event. Next up, we have MJF's promo. My God. MJF is he's something else, man. And you don't even like him.
I can't stand that man, but I will sit here and fight anybody who will try and argue with me that Max does not give the best promos that we have seen possibly ever. Okay. Like, he may not have that level of electricity that The Rock had at the peak of his, time and everything like that. But Jesus, man, like that promo was, I put in my notes, promo of the year ? Because he comes out in the complete opposite of what he usually does. He comes out to his music, but he just kind of slumps out there. He doesn't have any of his entourage. He's like obviously been visibly crying, and it's like, okay, what's he about to do? He tells the crowd to please quiet down so he can speak to them. Like, he is being so not Max. And like, Max is so good that this promo was so good. I couldn't tell if it was a shoot or work. And I feel like it very well may have been a shoot, just from the level of passion that he put into this speech. And like, you felt it. And it was amazing to watch the crowd, because when he walked out, I mean, they're sitting there cursing at him, telling him to shut the hell up, all the kind of stuff. And by the time that promo ended, the crowd was cheering. There was no boos. They were cheering for him. And outside of Long Island, I don't know if we've ever seen anybody cheer for Max.
Yeah, that's very true.
But the man made you feel, and he spoke truths, and I'm sure things that resonated with a lot of people. Because, I mean, he talked about how Punk left and that he was he was one of Punk's number one fans. And when Punk left the business and just skipped town, he felt that he got left behind. And he gave up on his dreams of becoming a wrestler for a time, tried to, do whatever, and then realized when he saw Punk on, at the other place, once again, he felt betrayed even more so, because, at least he had accepted the fact that Punk was never going to come back. He had just, said he was leaving the business and he was never coming back to the business. And so he decided then that he was going to become the greatest wrestler of all time. And in spite of CM Punk, instead of inspired by CM Punk. And I'm sure part of that legitimately rang true with Max, because the man's wanted to be a wrestler his whole life. There's documentation of it, video evidence from when he was on, what was it, Rosie O'Donnell, I think. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, I sat there with my mouth open. You saw it. I was just in awe of. I was like, damn, Max has me feeling bad for Max, which I didn't think was ever possible because I cannot stand him. But even Tony couldn't, like Tony Schiavone can't stand Max, and he couldn't say a bad thing about him. And then to have Punk, like, this was done so beautifully because Punk, it's those little nuances that I appreciate. Because if you notice Punk's body language when he comes out, so of course Max gives us some passion speech. Punk comes out and he's visibly conflicted, and you can tell he's visibly conflicted because one of his hands is relaxed and his other hand is like clenched up, like he's ready to deck him in the face. And it was like it gave off the essence of he didn't know if he should punch him or hug him. And like I feel like that was kind of the feeling that pretty much everybody in the crowd and everybody watching, or most people watching would have after this speech, because like I said, there's so much. Wrestling is at its best when there's truth mixed in with the pageantry.
Right.
And I feel like there was a lot of truth mixed into this pageantry, and that was why it hit so much different than it usually does. And honestly, this is probably one of my favorite promos that Max has ever done. And watching this, I'm just like, Jesus, he could be an unstoppable babyface if he wanted to.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, Punk asked him when he came down to the ring if it was real. And, MJF nodded that everything he seemed to be saying was true. So,
and then he left.
He was crying. He was legitimately crying.
No double cross, no Wardlow, no spears, no nothing. Just, it's true. He got out. He looked so hurt and just left. And it was just like, so you can't do this to me. Like, it drummed up a lot of old feelings that I personally had. I mean, I respect Punk for leaving, for why he left. I was also very bitter at the time when I found out that he left, or, when he did leave. But finding out why he left made me understand. And could things have gone differently? Yes. But I understand why he did it the way he had to do it. Because for him, that was the best option at the time. And I can't fault him for that. But right. Jesus Christ, that promo was just outstanding.
Yeah. Very curious to see where this goes. Obviously, like I said, we have at least one more Dynamite before the pay-per-view. And this is, pretty earth-shattering. So I don't know if you have another CM Punk promo, or if you have them face off in the ring or do a contract signing. Obviously, we're going to revisit this one more time before the big show. But yeah, this was seismic. Very interested to see how everybody else received this particular promo, because obviously I think MJF was speaking from the heart. One last promo here to cover real quick in this short little section here. Tony Schiavone with 2.0 and Daniel Garcia in response to his conversation with Bryan Danielson. Obviously 2.0 is pissed. They don't really give a crap about, Danielson's Bryan Danielson's vision of, the Danielson dojo and what could be if he were to work with Moxley and all these young talented superstars. Basically they're kind of laughing because obviously they came in together, and now that Daniel is a little popular, here comes Bryan trying to scoop him up. But tonight Danielson's going to get a taste of violence from Daniel Garcia, which I think he certainly does, and we will get to that and much, much more when we come back right after these messages.
I like the hat. Are you going out tonight?
No. No, I'm putting this on because of our first inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame. I call this my Undertaker hat.
Okay, look, I got something for you. You talking about this guy right there? You talking about that hat right there? You talking about that hat right there? I see you. But yes, and that was probably the biggest news in WWE today, right? Was the Undertaker would be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class
on the anniversary of his streak continuing 20 2-0.
Is that what it is? Okay, see, wait, look at you knowing shit I don't even know. You know what I'm saying? But I thought a lot of people figured it had to be in Texas if he was going to go in, right? That's his hometown. I guess it's only right to say that it should be Kane that inducts him. But if not Kane, I wonder who would be the person that would induct him into this Hall of Fame.
Welcome back, everybody. Joining us again for the AEW Dynamite recap and review. Like, share, and subscribe. You can see, you can find us on all social media above and below where I'm at right now. All right. Kings of the Black Throne versus Death Triangle. We get introduced to Penta's new or old persona, Penta Oscuro. Dark Penta. Very, very spoopy man. Alex is in full-on minion mode, comes out with a whole robe and got a whole grave situation going on. Very intricate entrance here for Penta and his new side that was awakened by the black mist. I know Penta's one of your favorites. How do you feel about him revisiting this obviously darker persona?
For those of you who don't know, Penta Dark is for people who don't speak Spanish. Oscuro. Penta Dark is a character that was created when Penta was in Lucha Underground. It is his dark persona, kind of like, demon for Finn Balor, that sort of thing. And it was super exciting to see it on a massive stage. Love the robe and everything. Alex, I always love Alex because he just full sends into anything that he needs to do to, support his man Penta as a good manager should. And great match because, anytime these guys get in the ring together, it's just magic. Pac and I loved Pac squaring up with Brody King. That was probably my favorite part because you got Pac, who's the smallest one, even with Penta, because Penta's not gigantic, but he's bigger than Pac is.
Right.
And you got Pac squaring up with one of the biggest dudes in the company right now. It's like, I'll fight you.
Pac's
no
not
back
scared
down.
of anybody.
He's not. And it's great. And I love it. And it's just his whole persona and excellent match. And of course, with the end, very exciting stuff.
Oh, yeah. We'll run through this really quick. Brody King is absolutely nuts. Had a double offensive into a tope on the outside. Had an accidental knee strike from Malakai to Brody. Pac with the suplex on Brody. Big old beefy boy right there. But the real finish here is Penta blocks the Black Mist. And I thought it was very interesting that they would decide to bring in this new persona against a team that is undefeated. Like, obviously, going into this, you would think that both sides would need to kind of come away with the victory on this. But Penta blocks the Black Mist. Malakai chokes on it. It basically coming away with the win for that team. But after that, there's an aftermatch attack. Malakai is going to get the shovel. And we've got the debut of Buddy Matthews and his initiation into the House of Black by sacrificing Penta and his face onto a chair. Obviously, there are going to be ramifications for Malakai digesting the Black Mist. I can only assume.
I'm so excited.
I am because it seemed like he was, even towards the end, how he was interacting with Buddy Matthews. I'm very interested to see how long does he stick with the House of Black, getting slapped in the face. And, I don't know if that's just to hype him up or I don't know, but very interested to see these three men together.
Yeah, because Malakai did spend a good amount of time choking from the, ingesting the Black Mist. And it does beg the question, is this going to alter his behavior as well? Like you said, he did start to get kind of a little bit more aggressive than usual. And just that final visual of Malakai, Buddy on his left, Brody on his right, just like, Now all we need is Julia, and it'll be complete.
We'll have to see how the paint also comes into play, because since he started, kind of just started with the red contact and a little bit of paint around the eye, but now it's pretty much full on half paint, but it hasn't crept any further in weeks. So it'll be interesting to see if by him digesting it, is that going to also manifest in a physical representation of this madness spreading within him.
Exactly.
Very interesting stuff going on with the House of Black. Congratulations to them and their new member and their the newest addition to AEW. Haven't seen the official Buddy Matthews is All Elite online, but I'm sure it's coming. All right. Jesus. Next, we have Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho in their face-to-face. And man, tonight must just be the night of good promos, because Eddie is no MJF and, being super eloquent or anything like that. But man, is he super effective. Eddie comes out and security's already in the ring. Eddie kind of stands there, at the end of the line, kind of mocking them a little bit. And Chris comes out, and honestly, Chris is looking great. I mean, he looks like he's really slimmed down. I know MJF took several digs at him during their feud on his appearance and his weight. So good for him for digging in and figuring out how to attack that, because he looks amazing for his age. Everybody's singing Judas, of course, because that's what you do. And Eddie goes on to say he's not a sports entertainer, and basically to take that shit around the block, which, I mean,
hilarious.
Given that they're in Bridgeport, Connecticut, we all know he's making a reference to WWE and their Connecticut headquarters in, what is it, Stanford?
Yep.
Stanford, Connecticut. Basically, he doesn't want to talk. He just wants to fight. I mean, that's just the kind of guy that Eddie is. And shout out to Eddie for saying that if it's not about them fighting, might as well just bring out some, making a call for women's wrestling to take up the spot that they were obviously occupying with their sports entertainment BS in Eddie's eyes. Which, shout out to him. I mean, called in superstars by name, Chris Statlander, and I unfortunately didn't catch the other one, but always a proponent for more women's wrestling on our TV screens. And Eddie obviously seems to be a big supporter on that.
This just in.
Oh, shit.
Oh, there's your graphic.
I know. Look, this is my surprised face. Obviously, if he's coming in and coming into a major faction like this, the graphic was only a matter of time.
Oh, yes. Tony put it up an hour
ago. Chris then gets his turn on the mic and basically had no idea who Eddie was when he came in. And it took him watching him in action to really get a feel for who he was, but he still didn't care. It was his match with What's-His-Face. Obviously, Chris not taking too kindly to Cody Rhodes and his departure from AEW proper. But essentially going on to say that he always knew that Eddie was going to be a huge babyface, but he knows that deep down, Eddie is just jealous of Jericho. And it all sums up that he basically just can't win the big one. And Chris Jericho is the big one. Also treading into dangerous territory, talking about Eddie's family, too. This is your man's Joker. So I'm going to step back and let you have at it on your man's Eddie Kingston against Chris Jericho.
I'm so ready to watch Eddie Kingston lay the smack down on Chris Jericho. Man, I am so excited for this pay-per-view for so many reasons. This is one of those reasons. I'm not going to lie. Originally, I was not very excited for an Eddie Kingston versus Jericho match. But I know. But consider that was when the Inner Circle was still together and still babyface and everything like that. Like I said, at this point, I really try and just trust the process, because I feel like AEW usually gets me to the point where I am excited for matches. And at this point in the game, when it is actually being announced and confirmed for a match, I am now excited about this match. Ready to old dogs of war go at it. I love the fun that they were poking at, where, you know, geographically, that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But Eddie, once again, wrestling's at its best when you have truth woven in to the pageantry, and Eddie Kingston is a shooter. And man, nothing that comes out of Eddie Kingston's mouth is anything that he doesn't believe. And that's what I appreciate about Eddie. Eddie said he's himself 100% of the time. And the reason that he was where he was in life and never got to, you know, go hang out in Stanford was because he does things his way. And that's how he's always going to be. And that's how he always has been. And he's never going to compromise himself or his beliefs or his values or how he feels like wrestling should go for anybody else. And I appreciate that. I think that was, yeah, like you said, night for great promos. Chris stumbled a little bit.
Yeah, here's the thing. I was getting the feeling that Jericho was actually jealous of Eddie in a way, because it definitely felt like Jericho felt like he needed to have the last word, because he talked about how Eddie couldn't win the big one. He's afraid of failure, yada, yada, yada. Eddie comes back with a killer line that he wants the best version of Jericho. He wants the AEW champion Jericho. He wants, it gave a bunch of other examples because, you know, Eddie is the man. But basically he says, give me your best or I'm going to eat you alive. Those are some fighting words if I've ever heard them. And all Jericho could do was tell him, you know, run back what he just said, that he's afraid of failure, and tell him to hit his music just to make it to where Eddie couldn't have the last word. And I was like, God damn, Chris, like, I know you're upset that, you know, you're not the best talker in the game anymore, but Eddie was really taking him to school there for a second.
You know what I want to see? I need Maxwell Jacob Friedman as the champion and Eddie Kingston coming for that ass as his challenger. The promos alone that would come from these two, my God. Okay, I'm just saying.
Oh, for sure.
Think about it. You got the two best talkers in the game right now. I'm just saying. It'd be amazing.
For sure. Got a comment here. The House of Black reborn once more. Yes, talked about Buddy Matthews and his debut here on AEW. Thanks so much for joining us. Jeff here talking about Adam Cole needs to win the title. Paige has been underwhelming. I think it has taken a minute for him to get a little bit of steam. Yeah, well, everybody's entitled to their wrong opinion. No, in all seriousness, Paige is never going to be a Kenny Omega, is never going to be a Chris Jericho or a Moxley. But at the end of the day, he's a people's champion. People really can get behind him and his character. And while, yes, he may be considered underwhelming in comparison to some of the previous champions, I think he's come out and really held his own. Both of his matches against Danielson have been absolute bangers. I have no doubt that his match against Cole is going to be amazing. Even the Texas Death match, you know, nobody really knew what to expect. And I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here, because Paige really, to me, has stepped into a vacuum and filled it in a way that's different from any champion that we've had so far. But yeah, my final point is just that, you know, everybody talks about all these amazing superstars that have worked with him, but the common denominator has been Paige in all these matches. So give the man his due.
I agree. Like, I mean, I agree. He doesn't have that electrifying charisma on the mic and stuff, like, you know, your Jerichos and your Kenny Omega even, you know. But what he does have is, like you said, the connection to the people. And when that man's in the ring, because I'm sorry, that pop he got as soon as Hangman's music hit, the roof came off the place.
Oh, for sure.
He did the little strut down the walkway, got in the ring, beat the hell out of Red Dragon, did his thing. I mean, you can't deny that the power and the connection that the man has with the people. And I feel like people are going to feel, that's why I want Max to be the one to take it off of him, because people hate Max and they actually love Hangman. So what better reaction could you possibly want? Because I don't feel like it'll feel the same if it comes off of Cole.
Right. No, I agree. All right. Next, we had the next qualifier match for the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Ricky Starks, our current FTW champion, versus Dark Order's number 10, Preston Vance. Taz on commentary, obviously hyping up his boy. And Powerhouse Hobbs on the sidelines, looking pretty good, holding that FTW championship. I'm just saying.
Man needs gold.
I am just saying. Obviously looking good for him going into the Face of the Revolution ladder match, and we'll touch on Powerhouse Hobbs again later on. But not a whole lot to talk about here. Obviously Ricky's an amazing wrestler. I think that 10 has been put in these situations before, but I don't think that his wheelhouse is as wide as Ricky's. Like, he doesn't have as many tricks. He's a big guy and he does big guy stuff, which is nice. But the walkaways here, obviously there were already 3 big beefy boys already slated for the ladder match. We've got Keith Lee making his debut a couple weeks ago, and Wardlow, along with who's the third one? Oh my God, I am drawing an absolute blank. Keith Lee, Wardlow, Hobbs. I'm so sorry. Pay me no mind. Pay Divine absolutely no mind. Oh my goodness.
It's all good.
So yeah, already three big boys slated, and better storyline for Team Taz to have more representatives in the match. Ricky walks away with the win because Starks, obviously, I mean, he was almost beaten here, but he grabs at the mask and then transitions into the spear for the win. Pretty nasty looking spear too on 10. Your thoughts going into the ladder match now that we've added Senior Starks?
Well, now we have 2 representatives from Team Taz in there, and that's very exciting. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of wanted 10 to win, only for the pure fact so that we could just have a ladder match full of tomahawk steaks. Like, can you imagine just the carnage of like an all big man? Just to round it off, it's just Miro and Archer.
Well, here's the thing. Sammy's got to be in it. So it's 5. It would be 5 beefy boys and Sammy.
Is Sammy in it?
Sammy's got to be in it. His title's on the line.
I thought Face of the Revolution was, but then that defeats the purpose of getting the ring.
Sammy, the last promo he cut made it seem like he had to turn his attention to the ladder match as if he was going to be in it.
Well, he has to fight whoever comes out of it
with the Sonic ring.
Yeah, so there's no point in the Sonic ring if Sammy's title's up. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Well, I guess is it the Sonic ring? Because I know that people had, I don't want to say an adverse reaction to it previously, but
it was an adverse reaction.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people made fun of it. So I thought that was how they changed it. But look, we'll look into it. We'll let you guys know next week. Tune in to find out if Sammy truly is in the ladder match or if Divine is just smoking the good stuff. All right. We are going to take another brief break, so stick with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
Me and you were talking, we were watching together, and I thought this was a really good match. I think MSK is really good. I remember as we were talking, you was like, I think MSK, you said MSK looked like they have a future on the main roster. And I disagreed. And I disagreed because I just don't feel like they care for tag team wrestling. I think MSK, I almost said MST. Oh my God. MSK, I think they're great. You mentioned stuff like them. They're marketable, young, good-looking guys, colorful at that.
But when it comes to these cups that are meant to push forward, tag team to give them that light, I feel like it should always be a different person, because you should always be pushing someone different. You should always be working to give someone else the light. You need as many as possible. But also the thing for MSK, I understand that you feel like they don't care about tag teams, but lately they have definitely been trying to revitalize the division on both brands on the main roster. And so
all right, welcome back, everybody, to the AEW Dynamite recap and review. Shout out to Bad Guy Jack, our current reigning and defending UPR champion. You can catch him and Captain Shay on Tuesdays to recap and review NXT. Give him a shout out. For those who don't want to wait until next week, I think All Elite Joker did look up the answer to our little riddle before the end of our commercial break. So, Joker, let the people know. What is the verdict?
You smoke too much. I'm kidding. Yeah, so the winner of the Face of the Revolution ladder match they earn a shot to challenge Sammy for the title.
Gotcha. So they do get the Sonic ring.
Yes.
Excellent. I can't wait to make fun of it again.
Maybe it'll look better this time.
Sure. Absolutely it will. It will. All right. Next we had a quick promo between basically Red Dragon and the Young Bucks. Obviously the Young Bucks are pissed after Red Dragon's win. And basically next week they're definitely going to win the, what is it? It's a casino
battle royal.
Okay.
Tag team battle royal.
So another battle royal situation going on next week to determine the second contender in the three-way for the tag team
Rumble style.
Rumble. But yeah, basically they're going to win because they definitely want to kick Red Dragon's ass after what they just pulled. They storm off. Adam Cole kind of chastises Red Dragon, like, look, I've got too much going on right now to have to worry about you guys and what's going on. Get your shit together. Red Dragon don't really understand what's going on. They won the match. They thought they were getting along. What's the problem? Yeah, very, very clearly. Quick side note. Here is my thing about this whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
I am sad that it is going to detract from I keep wanting to call them Jurassic Express. I know that's not what they're going by right now. But Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, I feel like it is going to take away from them and their, I mean, let's be honest, between the two teams, I can't imagine that they're going to walk away from the pay-per-view as champions again.
That's if both of them make it, though. I'm just saying we could see Red Dragon in some shape, form, or fashion screw over the Young Bucks next week. Whether it be distraction-wise or them trying to help.
That's fair.
There's so many things, because then you just have a whole nother, direction for that to go. And then you could have that turn up during the actual pay-per-view itself. If they screw over the Young Bucks, the Young Bucks are gonna do everything in their power to make sure that Red Dragon does not win.
That's true.
And so that just causes discourse, and then now you have a whole, program to go after the pay-per-view. So I'm just saying there is that possibility. We've got Darius Martin possibly coming back soon. We could have Top Flight coming back. It'd be great to see Top Flight in that position as the other third tag team. And if not them, who knows? Maybe PNP. They've got a lot of them. We got a lot of love for PNP going on right now. So I'm just saying there are a lot of possibilities where you don't necessarily have to have the Young Bucks. And what's up, Vic? So glad to see you. You are acknowledged.
Victor brings up a good point here. FTR could screw over the Young Bucks.
Options is all
FTR
I'm saying.
Could screw over Red Dragon because Bobby Fish was the one who took Dax out and cost them their chance.
Options.
So many options. Mike Knox, thanks so much for joining us this evening. Yeah, yeah, very interested to see how everything plays out next week. Obviously, Red Dragon has secured their spot, but where we go from here is really all up in the air, because by it being a casino, I would assume that we would have access to a Joker, an All Elite Joker. And so it could very well be them boys, the Briscoes.
Victor, you and me want the same thing, okay? Like, ever since FTR showed up at that Ring of Honor show at Final Battle, man, I've just been foaming at the mouth waiting for the Briscoes to show up, and I need them to show up right now at this instant because I love the Briscoes. They're so hardcore.
It would be amazing. Absolutely something to talk about.
I feel like it's their first time on TV too. Like, on this stage.
Could be. Could be. All right, moving on next. The Queen, Jade Cargill, versus the Bunny for
Long may she reign.
For our TBS Championship. Jade is looking amazing. Obviously last week we saw the debut of her new look, her green hair, because she's green like money. And as much as she is inexperienced in the sense of, compared to your Thunder Rosas and your Serena Deebs of the world, she's looking strong. She is definitely holding her own as a champion. And I don't see anybody, like, we're kind of falling into the same problem for this title that I feel like we have for the main title, so that it's getting harder and harder to put together who's going to take it off of Jade. Ty Conti stepped up, kind of jumping ahead a little bit here. We'll cover the match in just a second. But Ty Conti answers the next open challenge. And even she, I'm not walking away like, oh man, she's going to take it off Jade.
Athena would be my guess.
Elvis, I can't agree with you, man. Okay, no, she's not perfect. She's not perfect. I'm not going to sit here and say she's amazing. But for a big woman who isn't, doesn't have a super deep bag of tricks, I mean, she hides it pretty well. I'm convinced. Got a comment here. Hater could take it off of Jade. Very interested to see where she transitions to after facing Mercedes Martinez. I think that is the next foreseeable opponent for Jamie Hayter. But beyond that, I mean, she could go against Jade Cargill for the TBS title. But until then...
Oh, hey, man, look, Victor already said what I was about to say. Serena Deeb, because what more are we setting Deeb up for here? You know what I mean? They're turning her into the unstoppable force that she is in the ring. And I honestly see her being the one to, almost kind of like a David and Goliath situation, but just...
Yeah. I could definitely see it going into
Double or Nothing.
Because obviously I feel like Thunder Rosa is going to win it off of Britt. I think they are not grooming, but positioning Serena Deeb for a main title attempt, by her facing a lot of Thunder Rosa students during these rookie, 5-minute matches and absolutely embarrassing them. I think it sets up for a situation where Serena Deeb could be Thunder Rosa's first title defense, but also solidifying Thunder Rosa's championship reign by having her beat Serena Deeb. What is considered almost impossible at this point.
True.
And from there you kind of transition to her kind of locking eyes on another title, which of course would be Jade's, because between now and Deeb, I don't see anybody else stepping in to fill that void that we currently have. Obviously, it would be wonderful to see somebody like Toni Storm, but we're just basing it off of who we have on the roster as of today. But yeah, Jade with a arm bar push-ups, like she locks Bunny in this arm bar and then also does put... she could step on me, okay? She could I just... Look, it's the one thing that EC and I agree on. It's the one and only thing. Russian leg sweep on the barricade. You know, it was a back and forth match for the most part. Obviously, Bunny not taken out so quickly because Victor, we will get there in just a second. Hold on 1 second. Let me finish this, and we'll get to that in just a second. Pretty back and forth match. The Bunny obviously being portrayed as the person who has more experience here, but in the end, Matt Hardy tries to throw her the brass knucks. Smart Marks throws Jade the belt. She blocks the brass knuck attempt, and both of the men are being ejected from ringside. Jade hits Bunny with Jaded, and she's now 28-0. When she calls for who's next, Ty Conti comes out and answers the challenge. Kind of a bit of a fumble here with the promo segment. I couldn't tell if the open challenge was for like the next episode of Dynamite or Rampage, or if it was for the pay-per-view. So I guess we'll have to kind of wait and see what happens there. But Ty Conti's next in line, regardless of when it takes place. So yeah, she sealed it with a forehead kiss. Jade Cargill is disrespectful to a T. Could you imagine?
Shall we address Victor now?
We will. I'm sorry, but could you imagine like squaring up against somebody and they just give you a forehead kiss? Just
that's some disrespectful stuff right there. I'm just saying, bro. Like that's why she started trying to throw hands, and you can't throw hands with Jade Cargill, especially when you come up to her chin.
I want a forehead kiss from Jade Cargill.
Well, I mean, it's not as bad when you want it, darling.
I know. All right. Victor's question here. Joker, I'm going to let you handle this one because I know you and Bad Guy Jack had a nice long conversation this morning about this young lady right here.
Let me tell you something, brother. When I saw that, I was like,
boy, they better not mess that up because, oh, boy, howdy. Let me get Jade Cargill versus Nikita Lyons, bro. Just the earth-shattering, undivided attention I will have respectfully for disrespectfully for the stepping on. My goodness. First of all, that woman is an amazing striker. I'm just getting away from me being stupid. She's really actually very good. And I kind of like that's kind of how I want to see. I feel like Jade could get there and will get there. But man, to watch those two powerhouses go at it, man, that would make me a very, very happy Joker. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Would you like to tell the people on the internet what you referred to Miss Lyons as?
Oh, you mean Jean-Claude Van Yams?
Holy Joker, ladies and gentlemen.
Yo, she shouldn't roundhouse kick people like that and then bust a split on their chest. Okay, what else am I supposed to call her other than Jean-Claude Van Yams? Is all I'm saying. Respectfully.
At least it's respectfully.
It's very respectfully.
Oh my gosh. I will weigh in as well. Yes, Victor, we know Jade isn't on NXT. We're fantasy booking it in our mind's eye because we both love these two ladies very, very much. Nikita Lyons is something else, man. Also very much my type in a completely different way, but yeah, shout out to her and her debut last night. She looked absolutely amazing. All right, last promo segment of the night. Quick promo from Keith Lee. Apparently coming into this, Starks was the only person of the people who have won the Revolution Face of the Revolution qualifiers so far. Starks is the only one he was familiar with. Starks then comes in off screen. Hello, Keith Lee. Obviously, they have a little bit of history between the two of them. And I just can't wait to see more of the two of them. Obviously, Starks letting him know that Team Taz runs things around here and he needs to mind his P's and Q's. And then Hobbs and Keith Lee squared off for just a second.
Oh my God, I can't wait for this ladder match, man.
Ooh-wee. That is going to be something else. But yeah, I mean, you could almost see the energy like just crackling off of them. Like they are ready to square
Oh, yes.
up.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's going to be so good.
Well, slabs of beef flying all over the place. Check in. What is it? According to Chris Jericho, it's May 6th. Poor Chris.
Yep, May 6th. Pay-per-view, May 6th. Everybody, it's May 6th. Not the other one that starts.
Not the other M. Yeah, Sunday, March 6th, everybody. Check it out. It's definitely going to be something else. Can't wait to see what Keith Lee does.
Yes, please, Victor. Continue.
Going to be wild. All right. It's main event time, ladies and gentlemen. Very smooth running episode of AEW Dynamite this evening.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Bryan Danielson putting the hurting on Daniel Garcia. I won't even try to break this match down, to be honest with you.
Impossible.
Because they were flowing through so many different holds and moves and just absolutely crazy. But key things to walk away with here: Garcia attacking and pinpointing the left leg of Danielson, pulling it and slamming it against the post during one of the commercial breaks. And it pretty much was, I don't want to say downhill from there, but obviously Garcia kept trying to isolate this one particular area while Danielson just was beating the brakes off the boy. I mean, he gave him a diving knee strike off the apron, shotgun drop kick, dueling leg hooks in the middle of the ring. And just as Garcia was about to go for a final dragon screw on the injured leg, Danielson counters it into the stomps, and then what I'm lovingly naming the double by lock to call it a day. At the end of the day, no surprise here, Danielson walks away with the win. And after the match, we have 2.0 attacking after the bell, and Moxley coming in with the save. And Bryan cuts a quick little promo saying that he doesn't need a chair to make Moxley bleed. And Danielson is in for a match at Revolution, but don't be surprised if Mox is the only one bleeding. Match all but secured for Revolution. Obviously not a title match, but yet another bout that I'm very excited to see. Your thoughts here on how this one's gonna go?
Match of the night. Just throwing that out there. Anyway,
no. Let's talk about Danielson versus Garcia first before we transition to Mox. Obviously, this was a match of the night contender for you.
No, that wasn't match of the night. But those two, I was already very excited for this whole dojo thing when Danielson just named off Yuta, Garcia, and Moriarty off rip.
Mm-hmm.
But now that he's going on this world tour, showing them why they need to train with him, like, okay, you're really good, and I think you're really good, but I can make you better.
Right.
And if you don't believe me, come fight me, and I will show you that you can be better.
Right.
Because, it was the beautiful story of the old versus the new, the veteran versus the young guy, and the technical masterclass that these two had, just rolling through different locks and the transitions. It was beautiful. And just there was so many moments where I just sat there and I couldn't take notes because I was just like, oh my God, this is absolutely amazing. Like I didn't want to look away to take notes because it was just so beautiful, and it would have been impossible to try and keep up.
Oh yeah.
They were just transition, hold, transition, hold, transition. They were legitimately grappling at some points, and it was amazing to watch. And like every week I find myself just more and more high on this idea for this dojo. Like I'm already sitting here like, okay, well, who else can he grab? Like I'm already past the first three. The dojo has been established. I need this to happen. and I appreciate how well they are telling this story. And then, of course, to have 2.0 come out at the end, and they got to save their son. And of course, Moxley. I love that 2.0 collectively attacked Moxley, and Moxley still beat the brakes off of both of them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And then Garcia tries to go after Moxley with the chair. Danielson grabs it, like, no, that's about to be your new teacher. No, you don't get to hit him. And then Moxley's like, oh, you got disciplinary problems, don't you, boy? And so he just straight up paradigm shifts him, and Danielson watches and like, well, he does have disciplinary issues. Like, just watching this interaction has gotten me so excited, or even more excited for what I was already excited for. And I'm also going to call it right now. Danielson versus Moxley is also going to be match of the night. I said it. I know that we're having a dog collar match, and I'm sure it's going to be absolutely amazing, and I hope that they prove me wrong, but I personally feel like you got Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley. This is going to be a blood feud, and it's going to be amazing.
Oh, for sure.
Revolution's going to be fire.
Yeah, and I don't think that we're done announcing matches. I'm sure that going into, the next episode of Dynamite for sure, and then also the next 2 episodes of Rampage, there may be a couple other things that we discuss here. Yes, question from Victor. When do you guys predict Swerve will debut, Rampage or Dynamite? Hard to say. I know that there have pretty much. Yes, that's right.
He'll be at Terminus tomorrow.
Yes, we are headed to a local wrestling event here where we live. So very excited to see them. So at least we know where they'll be debuting for us, which will be tomorrow. Hard to say. They try to keep their stuff for Dynamite, if we're being honest. So I would say they would try to fit him in somewhere Dynamite wise, but if the storyline's just not, if it's looking too crowded, it might be Rampage. But if we're being honest, it probably won't be until after the pay-per-view.
He could possibly debut as one of Sammy's challengers. You know what I mean? I hope so. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard because there's a lot of debuts going on right now. We just had Matthews. I don't know if they want to go ahead and debut him. I don't know how they're going to debut him. I don't know if they're trying to put him with anybody.
Maybe it's at the pay-per-view.
Right. We don't. I don't know if he'd be on a pay-per-view or not. But who knows? You never know. Very excited to find out what they have in store for Mr. Swerve. Glad he's able to make it over here to AEW. Excited to see what he does here. I'll just once again very excited to see Mr. Matthews also here, and Victor also shares my sentiments. He also wants it to be a big beefy match.
Oh yeah,
ladder match, and I would be 100% here for it. I'm just saying.
Would love to see Miro. We haven't seen Brian Cage in so long. Would love to see him as well, but I feel like Miro is probably a better bet, especially with a title situation on the line. It would be, very easy for him to cut another promo on God, and then slip him into the ladder match somehow, have him just stomp somebody for a qualifier and call it a day. But either way, yeah, would love to see maybe one other big beefy boy in this ladder match. So we will see what happens. All right. Well, this has been the entire episode of today's episode of Dynamite. Thanks so much for hanging out with us and going over everything that went down. Can't wait for next week's episode. Going to be the go home show before Revolution. So stick with us. Same time, same place next week on Wednesdays here after Dynamite goes off air. I'm Divine Intervention, and he is All Elite Joker. And this has been the UPR AEW Dynamite Recap and Review. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will catch you guys next week.
Night, everybody.
Good night, Elvis.
Night, Elvis. Also, thank you for joining us for wrestling review and not entertainment. Good night, everybody.